In this episode, we're going to talk about making a plan for change in your family. I want to quote Lewis Carroll from Alice in Wonderland. Begin at the beginning and go on till you come to the end, then stop. And it's kind of a clever way to say, begin where you are. Think about change and laying the foundation for successful change in your family. And it can begin right now. As we go through the strategies for making change last, give some thought to the ideas that may be a good fit for you and for your family. You may discover that several of these ideas in combination will work best for helping you make changes in your parenting and in your family. As an overview, we'll quickly go through the different strategies so you can be prepared when they come up. First is reasons for change. The second is creating rules. The third is being public about your goals. The fourth is taking small steps. The fifth is changing the environment. The sixth is having frequent check-ins. And the seventh is rewards or positive reinforcement. When it comes to reasons for change, it may help to make a list of reasons why you would want to make change in your family. Is it for your family's health? Maybe you want to get the family exercising more, less time in front of the screen. Is it increasing quality time together or quality time for children doing things other than screens? Is it because you want to create more positive memories with your children? Is it because you want to see more joy and have more fun with your children? Is it because you want to have less stress because parenting just feels like a lot of arguing and reminding and nagging and sometimes yelling? It's because you really want to enjoy each other's company as you realize that your time with your children is limited. Is it because you want to model for them what healthy relationships look like? Sometimes it really helps to review these reasons just for encouragement. And it's possible that all of the reasons I listed, and maybe a few I haven't, are the reasons that you want to see change in your family. One strategy is to create rules. Making rules for family members can really help in structuring their routines and develop positive social relationships. So for example, and I will use screens as an example because it is a common problem in families. Like we only have screens on after our chores, our homework, our recreational time is done after dinner. And so that way, kids aren't always saying, can I go on my screen? Can I have the tablet? Can I use your phone? Can I watch TV now? When there's so many other things that you would prefer they do, you're always saying no, no, no. And we'll cover how to avoid saying no or minimize saying no in a different episode. But having a rule, this is the rule. We only do this or have this after we've done these other things first. Or in our family, we are safe, responsible, respectful, and kind. That's a rule that the schools use. It is a really great way for helping your child problem solve. If they've done something, you can simply ask the questions. Is what you've done safe, responsible, respectful, or kind? And sometimes their behavior didn't fit any of those categories. They weren't safe or responsible, respectful, or kind. And so that doesn't meet the rules that the family needs, and they're not following the rules. And so it's really important to come up with rules that might guide your children. There might be a rule about we always take baths before we go to bed, or we always wash our hands before we have meals. What are the rules that you have that you're trying to make changes in your family for? See if there's a rule you can create that can help with that. A second goal would be public about your goals. That doesn't mean you take an ad out in the paper or tell everybody on your social media, but there may be key people in your life, maybe your own parents, maybe a good friend, maybe your partner or co-parent or your children. If there's a goal that you're setting for yourself, I would like to invest more time with my kids. I would like to be a parent who plays with my kids more. I would like to be a parent who yells at my kids less. What is it that you would want to see different? And be public about that. Why is that a good thing? Well, if we're public about our goals, we're more likely to achieve them because there are other people that we're saying, I want you to remind me when I seem to be deviating from my plan, when I seem to be when I seem to be straying from my goal. I want you to point it out to me, gently, hopefully. But you're really giving them permission to help you be accountable for the goals that you're setting for yourself as a parent. So if your goal, for example, is, I want to talk with my children in a calm voice, please let me know when you see this, and also let me know when I'm yelling. That might be something that you say to a co-parent or to a friend. And notice that's stated in a positive way. Goals are more likely to be achieved with parents or with kids when they are stated in a positive way. So instead of saying, I want to yell less, I want to talk with my children in a calm voice. And instead of saying to kids, we don't want you to run, we want you to walk. Or some people would say use dinosaur feet or some other clever way to get kids to not run when they're not supposed to run. And so trying to come up with a goal that states the end result in a positive way, what to do versus what not to do, is more effective for children and adults. Taking small steps to get to the goal are much more successful than huge leaps. And it might be helpful to remember that the journey of many miles begins with small steps. We might not see results right away. We might not feel like we're getting very far. But if we take small steps and we see ourselves moving in the right direction, we can build confidence. So choose goals and paths to those goals that you can see success. And again, not huge leaps and bounds, but you're moving in the right direction. Again, having a baseline. Where were we at with, for example, the amount of screen time, the amount of yelling, the limited quality time we had? Where were we and where do we want to go? Try to measure that in minutes versus hours. Changing the environment is another strategy. It doesn't mean moving to a different house, although that may be something you'd want to do. But what I'm talking about is trying to change a behavior that just seems impossible to change. So for example, if children are supposed to be studying, and yet there are so many distractions in their environment. They're supposed to be doing their homework, and the TV's on, or the computer's right there, or they're always looking out the window. Sometimes changing the environment can make it easier for the child or the family to be more successful. So for example, I know families that have taken their big screen TV and because they didn't want it to be the centerpiece of their family activities, they moved it to the basement. And so now they spend less time in the basement, less time on their big screen TV. Same thing with video games. If they don't want that video gaming to occur all the time, they take it out of the child's room. And American Academy of Pediatrics would not frown on that, because video games are strongly discouraged being in children's bedrooms to begin with. So moving things around so that it just isn't quite as attractive or quite as easy to get lost in that device is one strategy parents can find helpful. So are there distractions that are creating the problems that we're looking at? Can the distractions be relocated or reduced? Can space and location be used to increase the efficiency if we're trying to make a change in our behavior or in the behavior for our children? Sometimes when parents look at their mornings, and the morning routine can be super rushed and they just can't seem to get out the door on time. And when they break it down, they discover, one of the challenges, kids tend to dawdle when the screens are on. So having a rule, we're going to combine two steps here. Having a rule that says we don't watch screens in the morning at all, and maybe it makes it easier for kids to get ready and then get out the door so that we're not rushed. Or the parent might change things by saying, if I get up 10 minutes earlier, I'll have more time and I'll be less rushed so I can help my kids get ready. Lots of little things about changing the environment can make it less stressful on the family, combining rules and sometimes changing the environment. Having frequent check-ins. If you are sharing the parenting role with another person, make sure that you're checking in regularly to reinforce efforts at change, even as often as daily. So identify trusted others who can give you feedback about your goals. And lastly, having rewards, positive reinforcement for change. We do this with children all the time, but do we ever reward ourselves for making changes that we want to make? What would be your reward if you were yelling less at your children? What would be your reward if you were investing more quality time with your children? Now, I would imagine that intrinsically you would feel better about that you would be really happy with yourself and you would reap the benefits of your kids smiling more and really enjoying time with you. And that might be good enough. I'm great with intrinsic rewards, things that just internally feel great. Sometimes kids like that too. Sometimes they need a little bit extra other things. So rewards aren't going to the store and buying stuff. Not a fan of spending money for parents like that. Rewards are really extra quality time, extra things that they get to do at home. So there may be an extra book at bedtime. There might be an extra 5 minutes they get to spend with you before they go to bed. They might have extra time doing something that they enjoy doing with the family, with you, or by themselves. So those are the kind of positive reinforcements that can be really useful for kids. And sometimes for parents, yes, we could use a reward system. If I can achieve my goals, I'm going to treat myself to a coffee at my favorite coffee shop. As an example, you could do that. Or I'm going to treat myself to having an extra hour of relaxation time whenever you can fit that into your busy schedule. So I think it's important to figure out, how can I use positive reinforcement when I'm making changes besides just having the satisfaction that you can do it. We will talk more about rewards in another episode, especially related to positive reinforcement for children and change. And finally, be persistent. There will be setbacks and delays. Count your successes. They will happen. Evaluate your failures. They will also happen, but they can be short-lived. And then learn from them. Don't give up. We've just reviewed some of the strategies that can make changes you want to make as a parent for your children. What ideas stood out for you? Please consider taking some time to come up with a plan that will make changes for your parenting and for your family. Start small. Trying strategies that make the most sense to you may help. Thank you for tuning in and considering this parenting topic. I hope that this information added to your growing toolbox for parenting your child or children. Please consider exploring other topics in this series. Remember, no one parenting tool can do everything. We need many tools to become the best parents for our children. Your children's future depends on you and the time and effort you invest in them today.